Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast, a podcast carefully designed to introduce a wide range of very talented and highly skilled professionals ready to share their knowledge and advice with you. Please welcome the host of I Got a Guy podcast, Michael Drellachars. Welcome to I Got a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Drellachars. Thank you so much for joining us again this week. We appreciate your loyalty and all the subscribers that we have participating every week. It keeps on growing. And we know you're sharing the episodes on your social media feeds, and we thank you for that. If you are new to I Got a Guy podcast, you've just found us, we appreciate your finding us. And if you want to listen to any past episodes, you go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. You'll see a list of all of our previous episodes, quick synopsis of each one of our guests, and a way to reach out to our guests, phone, email, website, etc., and listen to the different episodes. We do publish our podcast on all the audio platforms, as well as on YouTube and Rumble. So if you want to watch our podcast, you can do it there. If you want to just listen to us, check us out on the audio platforms, or do a mix and match. It's completely flexible. But we have great information to be shared in multiple platforms. Each week we come to you with a different guest, and I'm really happy to have a very broad network of business executives, business leaders, and sales professionals that really know their crafts. And so I wanted to celebrate that and focus on these businesses and help their businesses grow. I'm a strong, firm believer in the value of small businesses. I own a small business myself. You're going to hear about that a little bit throughout this episode again. But my belief is so strong that this is the foundation of our country. And if we can help small businesses grow, we will all prosper. We'll have more jobs for people. People will make more money. They'll have more enjoyment, and we'll be satisfied in what we're doing each and every day. So that's really the purpose of I Got a Guy podcast. This was born out of reading a book called The Go-Giver. And I often reference one of the laws of stratospheric success that are highlighted in the book. So if you haven't read The Go-Giver, you certainly should do that. But our guest we have this week really coincides with one of the laws called the law of influence. And it's defined by your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interest first. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interest first. And when you get to know this guest, and this is a returning guest, when you get to know and we talk about what he does and how he serves small businesses, you'll see how that fits so perfectly with that law. And that's a really important foundation to have. So allow me to introduce Matt Dressel from Thryv. Matt, welcome to the show. Thanks for being with us again today.
Thanks for having me back, Mike. I love doing this with you, man.
Yeah, always. And, it's always been enjoyable. I enjoy our sidebar conversations. We do meet regularly as we network. And when I have a business question, you're always eager to throw your 2 cents in, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
So you work for Thryv, and Thryv actually started out as a Yellow Pages company, right? If I remember correctly.
R.H. Donnelly, 1886, Mike.
Well, just a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it's evolved. I mean, essentially, back in 1886, that was a marketing tool.
It was the only marketing tool, unless you want to say like pigeons or something like that. Send those out, and that's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Thryv has always been a marketing company, but you started with the Yellow Pages and constantly evolving. And you and I have known each other for several years now, and I'm amazed at how much things have changed even in the few years that we've been talking. And it seems like every few weeks or every few months you have a new tool and a new way to market your business. I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about Thryv. And I know I kind of jumped the gun here a little bit, but I'm excited to have you talk about Thryv. Talk about how you guys do that, what you really are, and how you work with small businesses.
Well, Mike, I want to start with I want to echo your sentiments about just small business America. It is it's the backbone of this country, right? And our CEO, I mean, he's been on record of saying it, and every piece of material we have, every interview he does, Joe Walsh talks about, we're here to save small business America. And it's no small feat. I mean, we have to keep small business America, vibrant and running, right? So we started obviously with the yellow pages. I think it was Bell South, NRH Donnelly, and then obviously we move into the aughts and Google AdWords. We were one of first Google's partners, right, that came out because they wanted to do business with us. We held the keys to small business, right? We had every single small business in our directory. So with that, we come into the digital age. The iPhone comes out, and things have exponentially just gotten quicker and quicker every year, like we were talking offline, right? It seems like things are just moving faster and faster. So that's brought about, kind of a pivot into not only how you market your business, but how you run your business, right? Everything is done on your cell phone. So now it's all about running that business on your cell phone. And then, like we talked about too, Mike, business owners have less and less time due to the fact things move so quickly, right? My most successful business owners don't have time to market their businesses on their own. They have to kind of set it on autopilot, let things automate and run themselves, right? So that's kind of where we're at right now. Just from, just the organic marketing means into the way that we do business today, it's all about automation.
Yeah, very much so. And to your one point there, I myself included, I know a lot of small business owners that try to do as much as possible in house to save some expenses. And what I've learned, especially in the last couple years, I've learned that that is the law of diminishing returns, because there's only so much time in a day. And my expertise is in the area of selling GPS tracking. My area of expertise is not in Google AdWords or SEO or even a CRM or constant contact type marketing tools. That's not my area of expertise. So if I invest an hour or 2 hours a week in these areas, I'm not getting very much productivity out of that, and I'm missing other opportunities. So it's really important. I think it's really important for small businesses to stay true to who they are, what their expertise is, and delegate and outsource. And marketing is such an important component, especially for young businesses, to get the word out. You have to lean on somebody that has the expertise, and I don't know many companies that have the staying power of Thryv, and dating back to 1886 or 1860, however, whatever year you said.
1886, yeah.
A long time ago. There aren't a lot of companies that have that much history. So leaning on a company like Thryv to help small businesses get this foothold is just really critical.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, look, we're recording a podcast right now that will go onto YouTube, right? I use YouTube every day. I learn a lot from YouTube, whether it's through, just investing. I've been watching Masters videos still because I love golf and I love that. And I can't get enough of it, even though it's over. But there's a ton of talking heads that I see every day about marketing, right? And how you can do it on your own, things like that, right? And listen, Mike, you and I have had this conversation. I've told you, and I've told every new client, every existing client I've ever had, you can do all this on your own. You can do it on your own. There's ways to do it. Just like when we were talking before the call, if I owned a contracting business, I had a fleet of trucks. If I wanted to track those trucks, I could buy GPS tracking myself. I could buy the software. I could do it on my own if I really wanted to invest the time.
Absolutely.
Right? I could. Just like marketing, you could do it on your own. But Mike, everything is changing so fast. You need an expert, and a good business owner like you, a successful business owner. I've seen this in my own family. When you're successful, you run in a business, you really do not have time to devote to marketing, let alone the ever-changing market that Google presents now. So you need an expert. You need a company like ours that does have a liaison to Google, that does have the backbone to Google, that when these algorithms do change, when updates come out, we're made aware of those so we can pivot on a dime with our clients and say, hey, this is changing. The way that we've been doing business here for the last year or two with reviews or with the way that we set up landing pages, whatever, it's changed. Google is looking for X now. We have to do Y. And Mike, without that, you can't stay on top. You know, I mean,
Right.
I think you were telling me about something before the call. You gave me an example. Can you repeat that, just that you had heard of in
Yeah.
another industry?
Yeah. So I just heard this yesterday, I think it was, that I know somebody that runs their business online only. All their sales go through their website, and they spend a lot of time on SEO. And Google changed the algorithm, and overnight they saw a 90% drop in their traffic to their website. And
Yeah.
now they're scrambling to figure out, okay, how do I adjust this? And nothing happens overnight. So if you have to change your keywords or whatever the components are, it just takes time to get back to where you were, and you lose all that activity. And I
Yeah.
think trying to do it yourself is really challenging.
No, Mike, I mean, I love that you bring up that point. Let me take a step back because I love having a platform like this to talk to an audience. I like people to understand what Google is. They're a for profit business, right? It's where the
Right.
majority of us go and do our searching when we need to find services, goods, information, right? DIY, whatever it is, it's where we go. They're for profit business. Google does a great job with their algorithms because they want the end consumer to have the best user experience on their platform. And because they do that and their algorithms are so precise, they give this information that's correct, it's easily found, so consumers keep coming back. Therefore, businesses like you, other service based businesses, other retail businesses, whatever you may be, they advertise there because they know the most traffic, the lion's share of traffic does come through Google. Bing
Of
does a
course.
great job too. Yahoo, don't get me wrong, that there's still a large component of people that go there and use it through speaking, search, things like that. But that's how Google's set up. So people that want to advertise with Google bash Google and say, oh man, it's so expensive. You got to remember they charge based on kind of like an auction based system. It's supply and demand. So based on how many GPS contractors are out there and what area they're trying to serve, that dictates the price that Google can charge to advertise on their site. And they can also say, hey, we get the lion's share of people coming in because they do the best job of serving the end consumer, right? And so that brings me to this algorithm. Their algorithms are always based on that end consumer. They've got them in mind. They want to make sure that the sites that they are displaying, either in the advertising part or the organic part, are going to best give that user experience to the consumer, if that makes sense. So their algorithms are always kind of moving, the goalposts are moving just to make sure that they're serving up the best content for the end consumer. When a consumer looks for something, they find it, they can call that business, and they get good service. And that's what their algorithms are all based around, right? It might not always be correct. It might not always be the best way to do things because I think some good businesses might get left out. But that's why you need a good agency to make you aware of those different algorithms so we can pivot and appease Google. Everything's about a checklist with Google now. They've got a checklist. We want to check that off with every business. An agency like us can supply that to the end business, owner, and make sure that they're doing things correctly.
And I think you said earlier, you have some direct relationships with Google. You've been intimately involved with, you being Thryv, have been intimately involved with Google for a long time, since they started,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
if
mean,
so those relationships are important, because I'm sure as Google changes their algorithm, because it's ever evolving. They got some pretty smart people back in there in California. They're crunching away at these. Um, you guys are on the front line of getting this information, so then you can keep your customers front and center at all times, right?
yeah. I mean, Mike, we've got several liaisons that work closely with, Google's, algorithms, their regulations, what they're looking for, and, are well aware of what's going on. And then we can bring those liaisons to our clients on a case by case basis. We have weekly meetings where we're made aware of what's going on with Google. That way we can get the word out to our clients and no one is left behind, right? So that's
That's
the
really
big
important.
difference between, yeah, that's the business owner that wants to do it on their own. Sure, they can go out and scour the internet every day for 2 hours and try and find Google's latest info. There's sites like Reddit and X, to where there are people that work for Google that post this information. But again, Mike, having the time to do that, successful business owners, they just don't have that time.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
it's and even if you're a startup business, you need to pick your battles as a business owner
Mhm.
and put your effort where you're going to grow the business the most, and bring in the right partners to help augment that. And I've even told my kids this. It's important as an adult to surround yourself with key experts. As a business owner, you have to surround yourself with key experts in every area, whether it be legal and accounting and finance and bookkeeping and marketing services, insurance, etc., so that you are well protected, because it's tough to do it on your own.
Yeah,
It's just tough
yeah.
to do it on your own to be successful.
Mike, that's a good segue. I mean, you and I talked about this too. Like the people that we surround ourselves with, whether it's personal or business, right? We're kind of the sum of the parts of those people, right? Like in life and in business, it's just the way we work. Sometimes
Right,
you got to cut bait, just based on the way things are going. A lot of
right,
times in business, right? It's all about finding out what works for you, and that's another piece of advice I give to everybody. Even if Thryv isn't the perfect fit, I'm going to help you find something that works and keep trying that. But Mike, pivoting into a new business owner, you always ask me for a couple different examples of, I don't know, things, hardships that we come across,
hmm
just things that are unique. New business, and I bring this to existing business owners and new business owners, and I like to tell them, if I were a new business starting from day one, what do I wish I could do? Or if I could go back, or if I was starting new, how would I start? Mike, it all starts now with software, and it starts with having a book of business. So, I mean, I just started with a new business this week. I'm very excited to work with them because from day one, they get to start capturing data. You might imagine if from day one, when you started your business, or someone that's 2 or 3 generations in, if they could have started that business having data from their first client on, having a name, a phone number, an email address for each client, whether they bought from them or not. Because remember, a lot of people do marketing. We don't sell everybody every lead that we get. It's a small percentage. But what if you could capture the information of everyone kicking the tires, everyone just asking questions, everyone that visits your website? If we could capture that information, sure, maybe only 5 or 10% buy today, but a lot of them may be a client that's fit down the road, depending on your sales cycle, right? So, I mean, having a software from day one, a CRM, a customer relationship management system that then can take that information, divide it up into categories. I mean, Mike, let's say that you have 3 different types of services that you offer. You might have a segment of clients that buy just that one product, but they're not even aware of the other 2 that you offer. You segment
right.
those people in a software and then organically market them through text or email. There's ways to do that within the laws that's legal through the FCC, and make sure they understand what you're doing. That gets people coming back more often, right? With you, you're going to get more money out of people buying other services, but then you got retail clients, restaurant clients. We need them to come back more often. So everyone is different. Every business is different on the way we market them, but keeping that client base, putting that, that client list to work for you while you're sleeping at night, automating that. That's what I'm most passionate about anymore. That's how it's changed. And it's all through the palm of your hand, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's I want to dig into that a little deeper, because I really think that's important. I mean, a lot of businesses have a list of prospects.
Sure.
Whether however they acquire these lists of prospects, but staying relevant and providing good information, and not just you want to buy, but educating them, providing good information on a regular basis, so that your prospect may not be ready to buy today, may not be ready to buy next week, but 6 weeks from now they may be ready. But if you're not in front of them, they may not even think of that you could provide them that service. So I think it's really important to set up some sort of a systematic process by which you feed good relevant information just to these prospects, just so when they're ready they think of you.
Mike,
And
and I'm sure if we looked it up on Google right now, that is the definition of branding, right? What you just said, brand marketing. There's 2 types of marketing, right? There's directional. Hey, I've had, I got crazy people driving my trucks. I've had equipment stolen. I need to find a GPS tracking guy, right? That's directional. I look in the yellow pages. I look on Google. I talk into Siri, say, find me a guy that can help me track my vehicles. Boom. They find Mike Dressel, right? That's how that works. But then you have creative marketing, right? You got your radio, your TV, your billboards, now retargeting, and branding falls within that creative portion, right? But like you just said, we can now do it organically. You have a client list. And Mike, I think the number one place where a lot of traditional businesses have failed, when I say traditional, people that have been around for 15, 20, 30 years before branding really started to take off in this organic direction, they failed because they always tell me, oh, I don't like to inundate my clients. I hate getting emails. I hate getting all this spam. I'm like, do you do business with that person? Yes, I do, but I just don't want to hear about this. I don't know about a lot of people, Mike, but I like certain things. Like I said, I like golf and I've got certain hobbies and there's certain things I like to do. I want to hear from all those brand partners. I want to hear about the new stuff you have to offer. I want to know those things. I want to know what your business has to offer me. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to open up that email box. You don't have to open up your junk folder. But listen, people need to stop worrying about inundating people, need to start worrying about their business and branding themselves, because it is the key way to go to market. So you have to remind people of who you are, because you've got branding and then you've got brand recognition, Mike. So you brand, which means people, yeah, they see you subliminally. They know you're there, but then there's that recognition. There's that target, right, that we see. We got the golden arches that we see. We recognize that brand now. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of brands out there that aren't recognized because they don't market their business in an organic fashion enough.
Yeah, most definitely. And that is critical, especially for young business trying to establish themselves, especially against the sea of larger competitors that do a lot of brand marketing.
And Mike, let me throw this in. I think a lot of people too, the next thing they would say, well, that's expensive anyway. No, if we're doing Google AdWords, that has an expense. There's a lot of paid type of advertising online. But if you have a CRM set up properly, and let's say you are doing some marketing and all your leads are coming into your website, they're capturing the people that buy, the people that don't buy, all that's going into a contact list. You can then send that out through a tool. And when I say organically, I mean it comes at no cost. You've got the information you've captured of that prospective client or that client. You can then send that out to them as many times as you want in an unlimited fashion, and it doesn't cost you anything additional aside from the software or the tool that you use. And Mike, not to talk about price, but you know our company. Like for the cost of a cup of coffee a day, you can run your entire business with a website, a CRM. I know through our software for $9-10 a day. So we're not talking about a large cost. Yes, SEO, paid advertising, those come with additional costs, right? But we can put a price tag on that because you got leads coming in and we can price those leads. But organic marketing comes at no cost.
Yeah, and that's really that's very sage advice, Matt, because it's because every business has a website, but so many of them are static and not doing anything, just kind of sitting there. But yeah, we need to take a quick break here. Throw a note in from our sponsor. But when we come back, we want to continue chatting on getting into more detail. But Matt, why don't you share your contact information with our listeners so they want to reach out to you at Thryv? What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so anybody who wants to look, I am in Chicago proper. If you just do a Google search of me, Matt Dressel, Thryv, Thryv, you'll see my personal website pop up. But it's Matt, M-A-T-T Dressel, D-R-E-S-S-E-L at THRYV.com. And then you got my direct line. It's 630-508-0201. So Mike, that's my cell. Anyone can reach out to me, text me, call me on that. I'm glad to help out in any way I can.
Yeah, great. So I will put that information in our show notes on the screen for our viewers and in the synopsis of the show, so they can reach out to you and I certainly want them to tell you that they heard about you here on I Got a Guy podcast. But anyway, stick with us for a minute. We'll be back and we'll continue chatting here with some successes that Matt's been able to help some small businesses with. So be right back. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. I hope you're getting a lot of knowledge from this week's guest. But now a word from our sponsor. If your business uses heavy equipment as part of its daily routine, sadly, I don't need to educate you on the reality that this equipment has been the focus of many local thieves either. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions works with business owners that own commercial vehicles and heavy equipment. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through the use of GPS tracking technology. Recovering a stolen asset is just one way we contribute to the bottom line of the business. Our GPS tracking units used in heavy equipment are weather tight so they can handle the elements and even have an internal battery to continue to report its location should the battery in the asset be disconnected. We have several examples of the benefits of GPS tracking in heavy equipment. Reach out to Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions for a detailed discussion about our options and to see if it makes sense for your business. You can find Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions at precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. Or call us at 847-865-6008. Precise Fleet Tracking Solutions. GPS tracking made simple. Now, back to the show. Okay, we are back. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm Michael Drelichars, host of I Got a Guy podcast. We are chatting with Matt Dressel here with Thryv, talking all about marketing for small businesses and how small businesses really can utilize the platform that Thryv has to really get their business known and get their brand recognized and the brand established in a very crowded marketplace. Every industry's got competition. It doesn't matter if you're selling paper clips or airplanes or anything. I mean, there's a lot of competition out there, so it's really critical to market aggressively and intelligently. So thanks for being with us, Matt.
Yeah. Mike, I kind of wanted to just go back to something really quickly that we went to before the break, and you kind of talking about websites, and a lot of people just have websites that are static. They're not really doing anything. For the audience listening, just know Google does take a look at what your website does every single day. They crawl that website, and they can tell if you've made changes. They can tell if you've got a Facebook page. They can tell if your Facebook posts are going to the update section on your Google business profile. There are tools, obviously, to do that we can work with. But keep in mind, I think a lot of people, there's a couple stigmas out there that people think, number one, hey, if I just get a website, I'm going to be found online. That doesn't mean a thing. Google has to crawl that website. They're going to make sure that you've got the proper information. It goes back to what we initially started talking about. They want to make sure the end consumer has the best user experience on Google, right? They're only going to serve people up that have topics on their website that are relevant to what the consumer is typing into the search bar, right? That's how everything works with Google's algorithms. But getting to the biggest point, Mike, I wanted to make is a lot of business owners, it's funny, when you show them that initial website and it's done, they're just looking at the aesthetic. They're like, wow, I think a lot of business owners are type A. They want to see their name in lights, which I totally get. But your website is there to collect information, Mike. That's what your website's there for. If you're using your website properly, it's going to tell a story. It's going to tell a story. It's going to tell what you do better or differently from any other competitor, right? That goes back to my days of writing yellow page ads and designing those, right? What's your slogan? What's your call to action? How do you go to market? What does Mike Drelichars at Precise Fleet Tracking do better than any other GPS tracking company? In one line, how do you state that? Boom, the consumer sees that, and then have it really just relevant as far as like what you're doing, and then having the things like how to make it easy to call you, contact you, a form fill. You want to collect information from the consumer. So, I mean, yeah, you got to get your website found first, and that's something SEO, paid ads, we can get to in just a second, how we can do that. But your website has to collect information. That's one huge piece of advice. And I think 50% of people aren't even aware of that, and 75% of people don't have the capacity to even collect information on their website when you go there. They don't have form fills. They don't have jot forms. They don't have any of that. So they're already extremely behind the times.
Right. And the reality is, it is ever evolving. So As soon as you learn what's appropriate today, next week it's different. So you have to be, you have to stay current with it. Let's talk about
a little stuff like that, like Google's latest algorithmic changes, right? I mean, they've had a lot. I mean, just last year, they had a big one called helpful content update, right? So helpful content, a lot of times when you do a search, you might do a search, Mike, for what is the best GPS device to use on my tools? What is the best GPS, are there GPS plus camera functionalities, things like that, right? Just where we talk about it with your company all the time. You got a fleet of trucks. Business owners are aware now they have a lot of liability on the road. They want to take a look and be watching their drivers and the road at all times, not only track where that truck is going, both for themselves, for the customers, things like that. So what they're looking at with all those things, let's say I went on and I was looking for that on Google and I asked that question in the search bar. A lot of times Google is now showing little rich snippets that they pull from a credible website, right? So this helpful content update is all about making sure you've got that content on your website. Again, what's Google really panning to? They're going to the end consumer. That way the end consumer can find the answers to all their questions, have a good user experience on Google. So what we're really trying to coach, either through people doing SEO through us or even clients I work with, is having questions and answers on your website, having it in your blogs. That way Google can pull that, say, hey, this is a good question, a good answer. It's relevant, it's credible. We're going to show that in a rich snippet with your website, right? A lot of times you'll see these questions answered either at the top of the page or middle of the page. Then you'll see the organic map pack. It's not always just ads at the top. You'll see that rich snippet. That's that helpful content, Mike. That's what Google's going towards. We're trying to help the end consumer. 99% of business owners do not know that. I mean, how many websites would you know that have questions and answers? Sure, they might have FAQs. They don't have it in the content of their site and they're not blogging about it, right?
Sure. That's really critical. I've been on a few websites recently where their most recent blog post was in 2016.
Yeah. You see it all the time, Mike.
Yeah.
So there are ways that Yeah. So there's ways that we go to market, and there's ways that you want to do blogs and, just backlinking. And I mean, just having links go back to your website, over to the Facebook page, however we want to connect those things. But it's all just about making sure it's relevant and credible. And like you just said, it's updated on a continual basis because Google is crawling that. They do take note of that, and it really does affect your page rank for your website. So, Mike, there's a plethora of tools that we have. SEO is not as expensive is what people think it is. But I mean, it just all depends on how much. I guess, Mike, what I'm trying to say, I ask a lot of my networking clients, let's say that we're in Chicago, Illinois, and I have everyone in the room raise their hands. Hey, does anyone here do business outside of Chicago? And of course, everyone raises their hand because they want to do business in Naperville and Schaumburg and Glenview and areas like that. And then I ask them, does your website say you do business there? And I'd say, again, 90% of them say no. It's just all about making sure that you've got the proper reach on your website and you're telling Google where you're offering your services, where your business can be done at. And that's another key component of SEO that I think a lot of people miss on. They worry about really just making sure it looks pretty, and they're not worrying about the page content and the way it's titled and, the H1s and the title tags, things like that. That's where a firm like us can come in and make sure you're set up for success and you can be seen in the areas that you either service or you can send your goods to. So that's SEO, Mike, in a nutshell, and what we can help with.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Matt, I'm also aware that reviews are important to Google.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about that. If you can dive into that a little deeper, I think that's something we need to discuss.
Well, it's twofold, right, Mike? So it goes back to me in that legacy business owner. Yeah, I know reviews are important, but I don't want to ask for them. We just got done with a job. The client, they got to get back to their life, and I don't want to inundate them with any sort of software asking for the review over and over again, albeit they're still sitting there with 10 reviews on their Google page, and they're asking me why they're not found on the maps, right? And it goes back to, again, I keep beating this horse, like, Google's all about making sure the end consumer has a good user experience. Google does not have on the street, just like Thryv does. And this is a thing, Mike, that I meant to mention in the beginning. You always ask me what sets our business apart. There's very few marketing firms anymore that have a sales force on the street anymore. You're typically dealing with someone maybe in Chicago or out in LA or out in New York. And, you're sitting in, I don't know, Omaha, Nebraska, and you're no city slicker, and you're dealing with somebody throwing all these big terms at you and saying, hey, we can do SEO for you, we can help you, we can guarantee you to get on the first page of Google, and you don't have one to sit down with you and understand your service area, come from where you come from, understand the other businesses you partner with on the street. That's where we can really do that, right? But getting back to the Google reviews, it's the most important thing. Google doesn't have a sales force to vet businesses, so they rely on what consumers and what the experiences people have had with your business. I think it's the most genius thing they've ever done. And to take it a step further, you can't just go on Google and go to Precise Fleet Tracking and leave a 4-star review if you don't have a Google account. Google vets the people that are actually leaving the reviews, right? So they've mastered that system to where they can now grade your business on the way that people have interacted with it, perceived it, the buying experience they've had for you. I think that's the best way in the digital world that we live in. So if you don't have those reviews, positive or negative, and by the way, anyone in the audience, a few negative reviews is never going to hurt you. I like to say I think they're going to be more beneficial to you down the road, because us as consumers, when you go on and you see a business that's 5 stars and they're all 5 stars, you kind of think, are these real? Are they bought? Even though they're not, but it just leaves that little gap in your mind of, hey, is this real? But if you've got good reviews, you've got some negative ones, you've responded to those negative reviews and been accountable to them and reached back out to that client saying, sorry, you had this experience. We'd like to learn more about it. We want to make it right. That makes us, the consumer, feel better about the way you do business. But Mike, it's the only way Google grades you. Every business out there has a page rank. You can look that up on Wikipedia. Just look up page rank. It explains it with graphs. It's really cool. But look up how Google grades you. And the main cog in that today is reviews, right? If you don't have them, you're going to be left behind. So either get good at automating that. I know for all my clients, I'll create a QR code for them to make it real easy. Put it on their phone, their text phones that go out and deal with clients. Make it real easy to leave the review. But it's best to have an automated system. Once the sale is done, that we have a cadence that we follow up with that customer until they review your business. You don't have to ask them anymore. We're putting in a very professional manner online to their email or their text. Eventually, that person, when they have time, will review you. Quit worrying about inundating clients, because it's hurting you. That's all I can say. It's hurting you.
I think you have to get past that aspect of inundating them, because it's really for the health of your business. And you mentioned earlier that Google looks for regular updates to your website, and then when you have a review that's posted, that's a regular update, and that's good for your Google analytics, correct?
Yeah, Mike, of course. I mean, obviously, we have plugins, we have software. We can even take those reviews, pull them from Google, and stream them across your website, right? So we can make sure that user experience is the same that they would have on your Google business profile right there on your website. But yes, I mean, the blogs, the reviews, you have to keep updating that stuff. And that kind of ties everything all into a big circle, right? Yes, you can do all that stuff on your own, but it's very time consuming. My successful business owners do not have time to do that. Again, the talking heads will tell you, hey, you can do this all on your own, and you can, but show me a successful business owner that has the time to do these things and keep up with Google's ever-changing, algorithms and their goalposts moving weekly, monthly basis.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've been using Thryv for my website for several years now, and I'm thrilled with with how it's been performing. But I also wanted to touch on the fact that your support team is very responsive. When I have I have some technical skills, and I can go in and I can tinker with my website. I add content to my website myself. When I update, for example, even like the podcaster, I add that to the website every week. But if I get into a wrinkle where, I don't know how to do this, I simply send an email to the web maintenance team, and they take care of it for me. And they're very responsive. And I really appreciate that, because it's and I don't even know if they're local here in Chicago area or if they're in Texas. I'm not even sure where that team is at, but they're here within the States. So I've had phone calls with them. I've had Zoom calls with them. I've done emails with them, and they've been very responsive, and that's really appreciated.
Mike, and I appreciate that, because you didn't have to say that, but I mean, we've been around for over 135 years. Any business that's made it this long, I don't care who you are, you've done it for a reason. The
Yeah.
number one thing we hang our hat on is customer service. Sure, there are clients out there that you can go read online that might say, "Hey, I didn't have a good user experience." That's every big company. But I can tell you right now, my clients, they can get a hold of me within 24 hours. They've got 24/7 support through Thryv. All of our software now, right? So whether you have a website, whether you have a CRM with us, we've got something called Marketing Center, right? That allows a small business owner to take more control of their Google and Bing ads and their Facebook and Instagram ads. And it does all of their Yext listings for them to make sure that they're seen seamlessly across the web, even the voice verified sites. There is a button on every piece of that software, has the FAQs, live chat, a direct way to get in touch with us 24/7, holidays, any day. But like you said, Mike, what you use it most for, you change your website, you create new pages. And by the way, we don't bill you for that, do we? We never
No.
bill you for that. It's all included in your package price. But the number one thing we hang our hat on is service here. And if there's something that we don't have an answer to, we're going to find it for you and we're going to get it to you. But it's why I stay here. I've been here 13 years. Like, we do care about our clients. I care about them, but my company's got my back on that. And we care about our clients at the end of the day. It means everything.
Yeah, it really is. Longevity is important, and frankly, making a change to the website, picking up and moving the website to another platform, it's an arduous task. Even if you outsource it, for a business owner, it's like that. There's just too many moving parts. Like I said, I've been with Thryv for several years, and I'm so confident and so happy with, and I've redone my website a couple times with Thryv, and I simply provide some feedback. Hey, I think we want to do this. Let's make these changes, and it happens. And there's back and forth conversations. So we tweak it along the way, and if it's not quite right, we just keep making the changes, and it evolves. But it's not falling into a black hole, and it's not all on my plate.
Right.
So,
and one other thing I wanted to add to that, Mike. So one thing that I want to make sure I touch briefly on today, so it takes it a step further. A lot of business owners are sitting there not sure what to do, right, on how to make these changes. And then there's also a lot of applications they are using. You get a lot of business owners that might have their calendar through Calendly. They're doing QuickBooks either online or desktop. And they hear that we can make all these things talk together, but they don't know how. So through support, we can integrate. We've actually got sites where we can integrate these softwares into the Thryv CRM software. So somebody that does all their accounting through QuickBooks, we can have them talk back and forth with each other. And you hear about a lot of softwares that might only talk one way. Ours talk both ways. So you add a new client into QuickBooks, it's now in your Thryv, so you can begin marketing them. But that comes back to that support. That support will help you set up all those APIs and those integrations to ensure that everything is seamless. We're not losing any information. All your contacts are feeding over. That's I think the biggest thing to talk about these days, Mike, is integrations, because everyone is starting to use a software somewhere down the road.
Yeah, and that integration is a critical component, because replication of that data is where you end up causing some errors. Something gets false. Something's typed wrong inadvertently. If it's integrated, you enter it once and it feeds through the system, and now you have it for multiple tools.
Yeah, you feed it, and then Mike, I mean, one step further, it's tagged properly, right? Everything about a CRM is making sure that you're, like I said, most service-based businesses, they have several different lines of business, several different lines of service, right? And a lot of clients only use one or two of those. Let's make sure that software understands what they use and then finds our gaps, right? What don't they know that we do? How else can we go to market with them? How can we get them to come back and use us more often? What are some things that they might want to tell their neighbor, their family, their friends about, right? That's what a CRM does.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, that's a critical component. Yeah. So that's awesome. Any other successes you want to share with our listeners?
I mean, I've kind of covered. I always like to make notes, Mike, when I talk to you, because I get off on tangents. You know that. I just wanted to make sure, our audience understands, at least from a perspective of what we can do for them right? So obviously everything now is software based. So we can help you run your business, whether it's your website. If you have a contact list right now that you're not putting to work, if you haven't automated your social media, and if you're not using things like Canva and Chat GPT. I mean, Mike, that brings me to one thing I did want to mention today. Takes you back to the talking heads again.
Sure.
Chat AI is the biggest buzzword right now, and it's going to be for a long time, right? Just know Google's biggest fight is fighting AI, Chat GPT, right? They are never going to allow an artificial intelligence to come in and dictate how you show up on Google. At the end of the day, they own that algorithm. It's their site. They're going to dictate, again, through a process that's tried and true, through reviewing that company, right? Having valid reviews. They've got a lot of different check marks for the business to go through. They're not going to allow AI to defeat them. So just any business owner out there that thinks they're going to be able to write a ton of content, build a website like that, throw it on Google, and it's going to rank above everyone else, I think you're mistaken, because Google will figure this out. Like you said, they've got a lot of smart people, Mike. So just know that. Work within the rules, right? Make AI the easy way to write your post. There's a lot of things AI is going to be great for.
Sure.
Don't think you're going to be able to defeat Google through that, because you can't. You still have to go through an agency typically, or really educate yourself on how to do these things. But anyway, getting back to it, just speaking of Google too. So, I mean, through the CRM, we can help automate your business, social medias, invoicing estimates. We even have financing we offer to a lot of our service-based businesses, which a lot of them love. We've got payment processing. We even give them, card readers, things like that. So we actually do things like that. But Mike, the biggest thing, we still are a marketing, at least for me, a marketing company at heart, because our job is to automate the business, but yet provide leads, right? We want to provide leads. Right. And I think just getting people to understand, hey, Google's got a new thing called Google Guarantee for blue collar workers. For what your white collar workers, Google Screen, your attorneys, your Edward Jones representatives, things like that. There's ways to get out there, and it costs nothing, and I can guide you through that to help you appear better on Google within having that green check mark and getting at the top of the page. So consumers are starting to find out about this, business owners, but anything lead generation, Mike, we've got apps for that. We've got our marketing center. We've got something called Command Center now that's a great communication tool that anybody that listens to this podcast can get for free, by the way. You even get a free live chat you can put on your website. It's really cool. So anyone that has questions about lead generation, I know you say, because Mike, a lot of our legacy Thryv clients haven't been given this yet, right? Just because of the way the systems are built. You will have that rolled out to you, Mike, so you will be able to take advantage of that. But anyone new that comes to us, we can offer it right away. So there's a lot of cool things. So I guess that's my biggest plug I can give, Mike. I can help you with automation. I can help you with marketing. Anything on Google, we can be your kind of liaison to Google. But with the new Command Center, anyone listening, if they want to get in touch with me, I'll be glad to give them a free forever Command Center communication tool that can tie together a lot of their live chats, their Facebook messengers, their emails, especially if they have a team and they work with 2 or 3 people. We can give them some live chat, some group text, things like that. Just a lot of things to benefit your business at no charge, to welcome you to the Thryv family and show you what else that we can do. So yeah, that's kind of my way to put a bow on this baby.
Okay. Well, actually, you sparked another question or two here. So a lot of businesses have these tools. You mentioned, a CRM tool or Calendly and others, Constant Contact. Can that be merged into, can an existing CRM tool, can you import all that information into your tool and carry the notes and all the details? I mean, that are in a CRM. That's where all the value
Mike, and I think what you essentially just defined is integration, right? So integration is key. So that's your QuickBooks, that's your Calendly, that's your MailChimp, all the information, and then we can bring that over. And it's all about just deciding, hey, if you've got QuickBooks, we can take the fields that you already have built within QuickBooks and say, hey, we want 10 out of these 12 fields to come over to Thryv, right? And that's just through our integration software. We can do that. It's seamless, and we can knock that out quick. I think, Mike, the way to look at this is we all get solicited every day typically I see things on Instagram or YouTube about, hey, we're all paying for these small, different subscriptions, right? Whether it's, with music, you got Spotify, and you might have, XM radio, you got all these different things. You sit back and realize, like, wow, I'm spending $50, $60 a month, where I could probably, kind of compartmentalize this all into $10, $15. That's what we look at. So I think we're perfect for that business owner. And I'm not trying to take it away anything to all these other vendors, that have these applications. I think they're all great, but we are a one-stop shop. We will take your calendar. We will take your, your email and your text integrations. We will take your payment processing, and then we will take all your social media for the people who are using softwares that can, put your posts out on 5 or 10 different platforms. We can do all that all in one application. And especially you can run it off the palm of your hand, Mike. That's, in the next, I've been saying it for 5 years. In the next 10 years, really in the next 5 years, business owners will run their entire business off the palm of their hand. And what
Sure.
I think most, clients that come to me, they're happy at the end of the day because they're like, Matt, wow, I can run everything. I don't have to log in and out of different platforms, different applications to do all these, daily tasks I have. And you tie all
Sure.
that together and then you automate it on top of that. Where it's just running like a well-oiled machine, and you can sleep at night knowing it's working for you. That's, Mike, I think what we're getting to. It's just all about educating people on, knowing that there's software out there like this.
Right. And for a small business that is, aggressively trying to grow their business, using these tools to attract, a couple new clients a month, 4 or 5 new clients a month, whatever, that really feeds the bottom line so quickly and really helps that company grow to a point where they can be sizable and they can be formidable. And it's a matter of getting to that point where you're in the black and now you're growing and now you're reinvesting in the business and and as a business owner you can eventually put some money in your pocket and feel like you're moving in the right direction. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, and there is no such thing as a get rich quick scheme. The get rich quick could take 10 years. But the reality is you have to deploy the right tools at the right time and be nimble enough and be you can't be married to any one particular tool. You have to be flexible and open-minded enough to say, well, this works, this doesn't work. We're going to drop this one. We're going to try something else. We're going to keep moving. And I remember when I first got into my first business, which was a franchise, the philosophy was hire slow, fire quick. And if something doesn't work, you need to be able to cut bait and move on, and not you're not married to that one particular solution, because not every solution works for every business.
No, Mike, and to use the old adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? So I think where we see the biggest miss is with those, businesses being around for 15, 20 years, second generation business owners. They're not accustomed to using software like this. It's kind of like SEO, Mike. If I go back to SEO has been around for over a decade now, right? And I can't tell you how many clients canceled their SEO after 4 to 6 months initially when we started a sizable program. Even though I'll tell you this, Mike, my thing always in my career has been setting proper expectations. Listen, SEO is going to take 6 to 12 months. There's no way to tell Google that, you belong above these 10 other businesses on the first page that already belong there based on their algorithm. And we've discussed this ad nauseum today in this podcast. Right. But business owners think I should be there. Hey, if I'm paying all this money, I should be there. No, the expectation was we got to go it about this way, and it's going to take this long. I can't tell you how many of those clients have canceled that and now come back and are happy because the information's caught up to them. They've learned over time how this is. And I think that's where we're at with software right now, Mike. I really think people, these older generations, and it's not just them, but I do think younger generations that are entrepreneurs and starting businesses do get this. They're more privy to this software. But the ones that, just they can't get out of their own way, they're stubborn. This is hard to do, so they're not going to take the time just to learn. Listen, the software is here to make your job easier. We're not asking you to do the work. We want to automate things for you. Just be patient with it. We'll set the proper expectations. We'll set you up for success. But at the end of the day, Mike, it's just about using this stuff, right? You just have to learn how to use it. And again, it's going to organically help your business. Like you said, when you sleep at night, I tell people all the time, we should keep this small. Like, how many more clients per month would you need to make X as far as revenue goes? And typically it's not a lot to move the needle.
No, of
Just
course
for
not.
$10 a day. Yeah, $10 a day. If we could get you 2 or 3 new clients, or just a existing client coming back 1 or 2 more times a year, that really moves the needle at the end of the year with your revenue.
It's huge.
That's what software does, because it's working. It's automating your process. You don't have to physically go out and push a button or send an email or dictate a newsletter. That's not how it works. So I'm telling you, I think business owners need to realize there are ways to organically market their business that they're not doing, and it will provide you more leads. I can't be more passionate about it. People just, it seems like a lot of business owners don't get that, and they think they're inundating people. But put a customer relationship management, a prospect list, a customer list to work for yourself through several different streams and avenues, and it will benefit your business. It will.
Well, you know what, Matt, I love your passion. You've been doing this for 13 years, and you've got a lot of experience, which is critical. You've worked with a lot of small businesses, seen a lot of them, thrive, and not to be pun intended, but to grow and really succeed because of the tools that you've been able to provide over the years and the evolution of the tools. and who knows what the next 5 years are going to come, what other tools are going to come to play. I'm sure your engineers are in the back room. They're working on new tools that you haven't even heard about yet.
Yes.
But it's exciting. Yeah, but it's exciting because Thryv is continually evolving. And that's what I really like about what you have to offer. And I hope that our listeners are picking up on this as well and eager to call you and find out more about how you can help their business. So why don't we share your contact information with our listeners again, your email address, your phone number, so they can reach out to you.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, quickly, I'll just say embrace change, right? We need to embrace change. I think a lot of business owners and consumers alike, they have fears like we do in all aspects of life, but they're afraid of making change. Find someone you can trust, embrace that, and make the change, and it will benefit your business. And if you want to do that, the best way to get in touch with me, again, it's Matt Dressel. You can spell my name. There's a dot in the middle. It's M-A-T-T, spelled the traditional way, Dressel, Dressel, and this is where I think people get, they don't know how to spell Thryv because it's not spelled the conventional way, like you said, Mike. It's THRYV.com. So Matt.Dressel@Thryv.com. That's THRYV. And again, phone number 630-508-0201. And I know on my website, Mike, if you look it up, like I said, you can just Google Matt Dressel at Thryv. It's got a calendar link to book a time with me, but by all means, text me or call me, and I'll be glad to set up just a conversation, a demo. I'd love to demo our products to you. It costs nothing. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, and to our listeners, now you've felt the passion that Matt has for what he does and how he's been able to help small businesses. So I really encourage you to reach out to Matt and have a brief conversation. It could be 10 or 15 minutes just to kind of get the process started, understand how he might be able to help your specific business or your specific challenge that you might be having, and see if that's a fit for you. And frankly, I know Matt well enough. If it's not a fit, he's going to tell you it's not a fit. He's not going to cram a square peg in a round hole. So that's one of the other advantages of working with Matt, and knowing Matt as well as I do, that he's got enough business where he's not trying to again cram a square peg in a round hole. So thank you for that,
Not
Matt.
at all. Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
So I really appreciate you being with us. And let me just throw in a quick little plug for my day job, my Precise Fleet Tracking, GPS tracking business. We do work with small businesses that own commercial vehicles. We help these business owners enhance their growth and profit through using GPS tracking technology. We work with a lot of small businesses, a lot of contractors, and lately we've been seeing that these contractors, these business owners, want to get control over their assets, whether it be their vehicles, their mowers, their trenchers, their tractors, and they want control over where their employees are with their assets throughout the day. So they've really been embracing this concept of, I need to know where these things are so I can maximize my investment. These things are expensive. They're expensive to replace. They're expensive to repair, and they need to be able to maximize their return on those investments. So if you happen to be a business owner, you have these assets and you want to know where they are throughout the day, if you don't have GPS tracking, give us a call. We'll have a conversation. We're a fit for most businesses, but it doesn't hurt to have a conversation to see if we are a fit for you. Best way to find out about us is go to our Thryv website, which is precisefleettracking.com. That's precisefleettracking.com. And you can call us at 847-865-6008. 847-865-6008. But on the point of our website, if you go to precisefleettracking.com, you'll see the kind of stuff that Thryv can do, because it's a great website and a lot of their tools built into the website. I'm sure it'll show well for you. So encourage you to do that. All right, Matt, thank you again. Appreciate you being with us. To our listeners, thank you so much for staying with us and subscribing and sharing. And we will look forward to speaking with all of you again next week. So take care and make it a great week. Thank you for listening to I Got a Guy podcast. For past podcasts and more information, go to igotaguypodcast.com. That's igotaguypodcast.com. Please share this podcast on your social media feeds and tune in again next week to I Got a Guy podcast.